Hello, this is Froogle and welcome to the first video on the brand new Froogle Sim channel. Let me explain what this channel is about first of all before we dive into what we're looking at right here. Froogle Pete, the main channel that I do in collaboration with Lumberjack, is really a mainstream gaming channel. We do a lot of stuff there on roleplay games, on massively multiplayer online stuff like Star Wars, a lot of indie stuff, a lot of casual stuff, you know, all the mainstream games really. And I wanted to form a channel really that would let me dive deep into the sims that I love. So this channel is all about race sims and flight sims, and it's going to be fairly hardcore as much as possible. So I'm not going to be constrained by 10-minute limits and stuff like that, I hope, although actually thinking about it, it's a brand new channel. YouTube might constrain me. Ugh, we'll see. So anyway, what we're looking at right here is the Aerosoft'S Bronco For Fsx. This is a brand new plane. The Bronco was used in Vietnam and some of those other conflicts in the 60s and 70s, and it was used as a forward operating spotter and observer. It was also armed at one point with missiles and all the usual stuff, bombs, and it's just an all-round versatile, low-level VFR twin prop. It's pretty ugly looking, a bit like the the A10 in that respect, and it's very similar to the A10 in that it's quite multi-role. Now my frame rate's dying. Currently up in Washington, I'm using the Orbex Pacific Northwest scenery, which is probably not the best scenery to use because it is so intensive. There it is. So that's my plane. Let's go back in the cockpit here. It's designed for observation, so the majority of everything you see is cockpit. You know, it's glass to look out. The instruments are down there. It's a semi-modern military cockpit. I mean, it's got a lot in common, I guess, with the A10A. It looks very similar to that in many ways. No computers in here. We have a GPS provided by the Aerosoft plugin itself, which is kind of neat. That's about it. Other than that, pretty basic, but pretty, you know, it's not, God, I can't even talk right now, can I? It's not modern in the form of a glass cockpit like a Cessna 172 or 182 glass cockpit, okay? But it is not like 1940s vintage World War II prop. It's got that semi-modern industrial look to it that military planes of the late 60s and 70s did have. Now, because of the field of view, you do need track IR for this, as you can see. You can't fly this really without track IR. When I recenter track IR like that, that's my field of view. You need to be looking down all the time to see everything. This add-on has a neat feature, which is the checklist feature. Check this out. If I fire up the checklists here and I open them, you can set the plane to cold and dark, like so. So we're cold and dark now, so solid green arrow, meaning we're good to go. I can work through the checklist here as well. Now this is the neat thing, look at this. If I go to the cockpit check, I can left click on something.
Lap belt secured.
And it tells me lap belt secured. I can also right click on stuff. Look, check this out. Flaps up.
Flaps up.
And if I right click, it actually does that. So if you look at the condition levers here next to the engine, they're currently not in fuel shut off, but if I right click them, they go back to fuel shut off.
Condition levers, fuel shut off.
So it's a fully interactive cockpit. You can work around it clicking buttons and working these checklists properly. Checklists are a little bit big. When I'm running 3 screens, they fit just fine, but on one screen, as you can see, it's a little bit constrained. But you can do a cold and start, step-by-step startup of this aircraft just by running through the checklist, right-clicking on everything, which is a really neat idea. I've never seen that before. I'm going to put this in ready to taxi state. And I'll shut up while it's starting up. It's engine 1. There goes engine 2, about to start. Come on now. By clicking that ready to taxi state, it will run through the checklist and do everything manually. Kind of like doing the auto start cheat code in DCSA 10. There it goes. So it takes a little while. Keep an eye on these warning lights over here. When the lights go out, we're pretty much good to go. Now, here's the tricky bit. I'm using a Thrustmaster Warthog to control this, so I've got each of my engines on a separate throttle on the Warthog. I'm going to put them on ground start and hold it there. This aircraft has reversers, and My throttle right now is just over halfway up. If I pull it back, it's going to be in reverse. You need to be aware of that. It took me a long time to figure that thing out. I kept on driving the plane backwards into the ground before I could even taxi. You have condition levers here, which are kind of a mix of mixture and propeller pitch. So what we're going to do, we're on, what's that, flight normal? So we're going to take them just a little bit down from that, and then we should be able to taxi. You have to be very, very delicate on the throttles to get it taxiing properly. Let's tune, and we're going to go straight out.
Bellingham, ground, Golf, Bravo, Zulu, Golf, Kilo, ready to taxi, straight out departure, with Juliet. Golf, Bravo, Zulu, Golf, Kilo, taxi 2 and hold short of runway 34, using taxiway India, Delta, Foxtrot, Alpha, Golf. Contact tower on 124.9 when ready. Taxi 2 and hold short, runway 34, using taxiway India, Delta, Foxtrot, Alpha, Golf.
If you don't have track IR, you can hit a button on the joystick and swap through the views. So there's a number of preset views in here. I guess the next one, this one, is for people without track IR who want to fly instruments. There's this one as well, which is looking straight up at the upward panel. And that one, which is kind of a mix of both. I don't really like any of those views. I prefer the standard view here and use track IR. It's just you need to have your head on a swivel quite a lot, looking around. Alright, let's take the brakes off and I'll show you how this thing taxis. It's a bit tricky. It kind of all doesn't want to move, and then all of a sudden it does, and boy does it go. So I'm gently advancing those throttles, you can see them there. Condition levers are just below flight normal. So we started to move, so straight off the throttle now. You see that I'm coming almost down to ground idle. Start to feed in. Nah, I've not enough. I stopped it already. Let's feed in some rudder here and get this thing turning. I don't know Bellingham Airport at all. I chose to fly here just because I know the scenery is stunning, which makes for a good video. So you see that as the speed's dropping off now, I'm actually coming straight back on the throttles to try to get the speed back up again. As soon as it starts picking up, I'm off the throttles again. Just be very careful not to pull them all the way back. You will put the plane in reverse, it will flip over. It's a bit of a challenge. So I'm using brakes quite a bit here as well, just to keep the speed down to a reasonable level. This is an incredibly maneuverable plane. It likes very steep turns. You know, it's designed to fly through trees in jungles. So very steep turns, very hard banks and climbs. Got a lot of power. But it stalls remarkably slow. With full flaps, this thing will stall at about 40 to 50 knots. Which is Cessna level. But the performance is very much military performance. I mean, this thing climbs like a freight train. You'll see when we get it in the air, it's actually very hard to keep it straight and level. It just wants to climb and speed up and climb and speed up. It's quite tricky. So I'm just playing with the throttles here, trying to keep a somewhat constant level of momentum. It's not a lazy aircraft. There's no autopilot in this, by the way. They do use the FSX autopilot if you really want one. They do have their own Aerosoft GPS built in, which is pretty neat. Lots of moving maps. And you can load flight plans in there if you need to. But realistically, this is a VFR aircraft. It can fly over 15,000 feet high. It doesn't like it. It's best at 10,000 and under. So with that in mind, I am going to shut up for a bit, and we'll just taxi out to the runway. Alright, so we come out to the runway. We'll ask for permission to take off as soon as I make this turn. Oh, there you go, I put it in reverse. Gotta be so careful with that. I was getting a bit too much speed there and got somewhat aggressive and pulling the throttles back. The next thing you know, bang, reverse. Alright, let's make the call. And ready for takeoff.
9am Tower, Golf Bravo Zulu Golf Kilo at runway 34, ready for takeoff. Straight out departure. Golf Bravo Zulu Golf Kilo, cleared for takeoff. Runway 34, straight out departure. Approved. Zulu Golf Kilo, acknowledge last transmission.
There we go again, throwing it in reverse. I should acknowledge that. Red light
Cleared
takeoff.
for takeoff. Runway 34, Zulu Golf Kilo.
Alright, let's put some flaps down. You know what? I really need to stop that damn beeping. I thought initially it didn't bother me. Now it does. So, nav radio, where are you? Having problems getting my track IR pointed in the right place. There we go. Should be off now. Don't need that. Okay, so we're clear for takeoff. Can put some flaps down. Let's go. So, condition takeoff on the condition levers. Throttles full forward. Frame rate's dropping through the floor, but that's fine. It's because we're in the Pacific Northwest and on the ground. Coming up on 100 right now. This should get airborne right about now. There she goes. Just trim this to climb. Alright, gear up. We will go flaps up as soon as the gear is up. So look at that, it's already climbing like a freight train. And because of the seating position, it looks like you should be going straight and level, which takes quite a lot of getting used to. Anyway, flaps are up. We are climbing. I'm going to pull this back to condition normal.
Zulu Golf Kilo, you are leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved.
Thank you, tower. I'm just going to let this thing climb up to about 5,000 feet and fly around for a little bit. Go outside to show you the aircraft. Just trimming this. A little bit of left aileron trim there. There we go. Let me show you what this looks like flying. I'm actually doing this as well while I'm making notes and research for a PC Pilot article. My review of this is going to be in the next edition of PC Pilot, so forgive me if you hear clicking. That's just Froogle taking screenshots. So when you pick up PC Pilot magazine next month, and you see that screenshot in there, you can say, I was there and saw him do that. Let's go to some of these other views here. Look at this. Amazing. Zoom out a touch. It's a beautifully ugly aircraft. That's how I like to call it. I actually hit a button there which adjusted my power settings, which I didn't really want to do. Where are we at? 3,000 feet and climbing. Quite a light aircraft, as you would imagine. Gets moved around quite a lot by turbulence and wind. So overall, what do I think? I hated this aircraft when I first started flying it. It was so hard to even taxi the damn thing. Kept on throwing it in reverse. It really did flip itself over backwards and plow itself into the ground a few times, which was very, very off-putting. And then I found out you need to finesse it. You really need to treat this thing with a lot of finesse on the ground. Pay very close attention to where you're putting the throttles and how the aircraft is responding to them, and it's fine. In flight, it's incredibly nice to fly. Very, very stable, very agile, almost fighter-like. but fighter in a World War II sense, more than a 1960s or later sense. It's real flying. I mean, there's not anything in the way of navigation. Well, there are a few navaids, but nothing in the way of autopilot and stuff like that. The idea is you jump in this and fly it. It's quite a windy day here. You can see the planes are getting buffeted quite a lot. And I do like planes that you really have to fly. I don't like just being a passenger in the big jets and things like that. And this is a real pilot's aircraft. I'm digging it. Let's reduce power a little bit. We're at 250 knots there, which is good. Still climbing. Really want to level off. It's very, very hard as well. You need to be constantly on it. It's very, very hard actually to trim the aircraft for a constant speed, you know, straight and level flight and all that stuff. It really does just want to change all the time. And it doesn't trim out. So, I mean, if you get it trimmed like I have right now and I go hands off on the stick, eventually the nose, if the nose is such, if the aircraft is trimmed in such a way that the nose will drop like this, it will not pick up speed and level out. It's quite a unique design on the airframe, which doesn't really lend itself to naturally stabilizing itself like a Cessna would, or even a thing like a Mustang or a Spitfire. So you do need to be constantly looking at your dials and constantly flying the aircraft, and that's really what flight simulation is all about, yeah? Not engage autopilot, sit back and relax. I think so anyway. I know a lot of people do like flying systems, like on the 737, the NGX. Not really me. Incredible visibility. Oh, there we go, nose down, dropping. Just fly around a bit. You can see how well it just rolled in and out of that. No problem at all. On the flip side, I mean, let's get a bit more speed here. You can imagine flying through jungles at low level, you'd get shot at quite a lot. So, highly maneuverable to the point of aerobatic. Let me get some speed up. Watch, here we go. No problem at all rolling. Installing, it's quite mild-mannered. Let's do a power on stall, so full power, nose up. That's pretty good climb angle. So speed is dropping there. You see it takes quite a while for that speed to come down, and we are climbing very steeply. 100 knots. It will start to squeak at me about 80 to 70 knots. It will start to buff it at 60 to 50 knots. And then it's very mild-mannered. In fact, it managed to level out itself. Look. There we go. Let's pull the nose back up. Pull it till it hurts. There we go. There's the clack. I got full back stick now. Right wing drops and down we go. Recovering it. It's very, very easy. Release pressure on the stick. Power off a little bit. And gently lift the nose up. Try not to let the speed gain too high, obviously. And we're good. Let me see if I can show you landing. Landing is a challenge. They like you in the numbers to fly the approach at 150. It's very hard to keep it at 150, and you want to be touching down about 100 or less. So I'm at 150 right now, actually. I doubt I'll be able to keep it there. Let's see how well we do. Where are we at? 5,500 feet. So there's the airport. So let's just make a nice little right turn out towards the lake here. I think it's a lake and not an ocean. And we'll start descending and watch that speed. See it? Wants to climb already. And just given the seating position, it feels like you shouldn't be climbing. It takes a bit of getting used to. Not a bad thing, just takes some getting used to. Let's drop this down to about 2,000 feet. Just passing 5,000 now. Still 150. Descending at 2,000 feet per minute, which is nice. Nice rate of descent right now. Speed is starting to climb. Under 4,000 now. 150, 2,000 feet per minute descent. We're looking good. As soon as we hit the coastline here, we're just going to turn back. We should be lined up on the runway. I'm not going to bother with the ATC stuff right now. Kind of a neat little thing with this as well. There is no safety on the gear switch, so you can actually raise the gear on the ground. The original aircraft is designed that way as well. It's just kind of one of those neat little quirks of the aircraft that are so neat to find out if a sim version of the plane is done very well, which this one is. I like the Aerosoft planes. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan of them. I'm a big fan of A2A. This is nice. This is nice. I can see myself spending quite a lot of time with this. Really trying to master it, especially landings. Getting the profile right for a landing is actually very tricky. Alright, so let's put some power on and we'll start to turn around. Don't let it come up too high. Whoop, now we're going down too low. Just over 2,000 feet. I am giving it a bit too much backstick. There's a runway off to my left, which is not the one I want. How are we doing? 2,000 feet, 150. Let's see if we can trim this out a bit. It's kind of trimmed. Whoop. Bit of a gust of wind there. And that really screwed up our attitude and everything. There's the runway I'm looking for. Given the environment this flew in, it is designed for short field runways. It is designed for rough runways as well. You see, it stops in no time at all. And given that very, very tall undercarriage, it really doesn't have any problem with you nailing the brakes. So I'm a little too low. And a little too slow. Now, I should have paid more attention to the direction of that runway. You might need to do some maneuvering a little bit to line up. Although the fact that I'm seeing lights means I'm probably at the end of it as opposed to the side of it. Very hard to hold level flight. It wants to climb no matter how I trim it, and it wants to gain speed, as you can see. Alright, so we're pretty much at the right altitude now, so we're going to put gear down and one stage of flaps. We're going to go condition takeoff, gear down, power up. Let's see how we do. My last landing in this was alright, didn't crash. Could have been a lot prettier. My frame rate is really suffering now because of flaps running and the fact of where I'm flying, which is going to pose something of a challenge. and very high. $150s. I've actually seen an air show demonstration of this aircraft where the pilot managed to run the front wheel down the runway, keeping the main undercarriage off the runway, which was pretty spectacular. Alright, power up a little bit. We are too fast. Whoa! See, I just kicked reverse. Which, that's a bit of a bug. You should not be able to throw the plane in reverse when it's airborne. Let's see if we can put some more flaps out here. Slow down. We are too high right now and too fast. But we are dropping like a brick. There we go. We're coming onto profile now. 120. Low. Let's lift that up. That will need some speed. Too low, too slow. Lots of power now. It starts to get quite wallowy down towards the ground like this. At slow speed. And again, just like taxiing, you need to be finessing the throttle. Now, this is a short runway. I'm going to slam this. There we go. Brakes on, reverse on. Check this out. Now that front wheel is compressed. Look, it's going to rise up now. Quite a lot. Isn't that cool? So there you go, guys. The Aerosoft Bronco for FSX. Let's take a look at that landing. It looked a lot worse than it was. It was actually pretty damn good for this type of aircraft. There we go. I should have got flight recorder installed, FSX recorder, but I don't, so forgive me for that. Excuse the juddery frame rate there. Let's just grab a screenshot of that. It's such a pretty picture. You see long spindly undercarriage. This thing actually flew off carriers as well. But there is not a carrier version in this pack. There you go. Nice and gentle. You see that front wheel compressed there? Full reverse on. And up we get. So there you go, thank you for watching. My name is Froogle. Please click like and please subscribe. There'll be plenty more videos like this coming on various flight sims as well as the race sims. Thanks again.